This is the Authority Partners podcast.
Welcome to the Authority Partners podcast. Today, my guest is Alan Durgut, who is a lead software engineer program architect in Authority Partners. Hello, Alan.
Hello, thank you.
Let me introduce briefly my guest today. Alan holds master's degree from Faculty of Electrical Engineering of University of Sarajevo, and he has 9 years of experience with enterprise software. Before we start our very interesting conversation today, I would just like to emphasize that we are living in the world where many companies need the digital platform so they can run their businesses. And the digital platform is enterprise software. But there are two questions that could be challenging for many engineers and IT companies in the world. First is what is the best way to build it? And maybe more importantly, how to maintain it during the long period of time. Because Alan is a specialist in this area, I would just ask you, Alan, to start and give us a brief overview on what is enterprise software.
Yeah, so many large companies or organizations, let's say like banks, oil companies, governments, etc., let's say they have a digital platform that they're using for running their business on daily basis. And that digital platform is actually enterprise software. From one side, we can say that is the business software that companies are using for better experience and performance for customers and employees as well. And that's maybe one important fact that I can say, that is the software that cannot be implemented or finished in the few weeks or in the few months. And that is actually the software that is getting upgraded during the time. And with every month, every year, every release. And that is the reason actually why it's really important to know how to build it.
So basically it has processes that are running the system.
Yes, we can say that.
But how do you build an enterprise software? Where do you start?
Yeah. So first of all, there is no formula, let's say, or clear instructions how to build enterprise software. There are many books written on that topic, but in the end, every enterprise system is the story for itself. But definitely, there are patterns and principles that we need to follow, So for every enterprise software, it's important to be stable. That means we need to have high quality, we need to have good performance, and last but not least, for sure, is security. So we need to ensure that we don't have any security gaps in our system. From engineering side, we can say that we need to think about scalability. And the important thing is that to have platform that we can extend without impact on the rest of system. And I think that is the crucial part of enterprise software. So that means we need to have isolated components that could be easily extended or upgraded. And we need to have independent services, modules that are running the business rules and logic. So I will pause here and repeat the last thing that I said. So isolated services for running business rules. This is really important for enterprise software. So every layer in application needs to do specific actions or activities and nothing more than that. So those actions need to be defined before implementation starts. Let's say on client side, we need to have the minimum data that user needs. On API layer, we need to have validations, routings, etc. And we need to have the business layer that I already mentioned. And of course, let's say isolated repositories to accessing the database, isolated services for integrations, etc. Since I already mentioned that the business layer, and I would like to say something about that. So we really need to be careful when we're implementing the business layer and rules inside of it. This is the part of system where issues and defects could have a huge impact on the company business. So just imagine that we are working on a specific system, let's say airline ticketing system, for example, and we have a defect in calculator that is calculating ticket price. And easily we can lose the $1 million per day. And now, yes, and now in case, just imagine no one catch that bug, let's say 7 days.
Oh, it can be a disaster.
Yeah, for sure. So what we need to do? So that is the question, what we need to do there. The first thing is we need to have tests that are covering each part of business layer and every method that we have there. Those tests should be executed every day on every single change that module. And that is the reason why it's really important to have the business role centralized into one place. Yeah, there is maybe one also interesting thing that I want to say. It's about relationship between engineering team and business team. So engineering team must lead business team and explain them how the platform is working.
Let me just stop you for a second. Is that kind of the main challenge within the team?
Yeah, for sure, that is the one of challenges.
Who's leading?
Yes, who is leading?
Process.
So yes, we have bunch of situations where the client is asking something from us, where they expecting to have product, to have some functionality that is working, but we need engineering team actually needs to see impact on whole platform and how specific feature will behave in that platform.
Like the big picture.
Yes, and then work with them to write specific requirements, in order to have a stable enterprise system. So it's not just, about functionalities, it's about platform and functionality.
And what are the other challenges that team can face within this process?
Yeah, the one of challenges for sure is how to keep the high quality. That is the during the time. That is also one challenge. And when we're talking about that, we need to say, in order to keep the quality, we need to invest time in our platform. The first thing is when we compare this enterprise product with let's say some startup or small projects. Small projects, let's say, we can finish in maybe a few months or weeks. And but when we have the platform or system that we are building during the time, in 5 years, 6 or more, then we need to work on platform improvements. And we should never write the temporary solutions. There is one interesting thought regarding this. It says nothing is more permanent than temporary solution.
Absolutely. That's also the life practice. I mean,
yes.
Never opt for temp solutions.
Yes. And when we said we need to keep high quality over a long period, they actually it's challenge. It's especially challenge when you have the code base that has millions of lines of code. 50 plus integrations. So we need to have a really high code coverage. And by some statistics, it says 30% of code is running 70% of time, and 70% of code is running 30% of time. So the first thing what we need to do here is to have 100% code coverage on these 30% of code, since that is the core of business. So we should not have the defects here. The example that I mentioned, that airline ticketing system, that ticket price is actually core of business. And we should never have the issues there. Of course, we need to have high, code coverage on the rest of system, but this is the core. This part of system that is running most of the time.
But then how to organize teams around the process? I mean, those who are working on enterprise software. What would be the best solution so you can achieve the main goal?
Yeah, for sure, teams is something actually that is a huge topic that we can discuss about it. But maybe before we talk about teams, maybe I can just raise maybe two more let's say challenges. And after that we can talk about teams and how to handle with those challenges with the teams. So the next challenge is actually the business logic that we have. That is the huge challenge with enterprise software. From my perspective, enterprise software is not just a code. From my perspective, it's 50% of code and 50% of business logic. And we need to understand how platform is working. And documentation is, let's say, the second thing. This documentation is really important. And not just the platform documentation. I'm referring to the business documentation as well. Since, let's say, we have some functionality and one feature that we get from the product team, and we need to analyze it. So I remember a few years ago, we got one feature from the product team. And when we opened that feature, we had a requirement, really interesting requirement, and for sure I will never forget that. It says person X, by the way, in that moment, that was the program architect in our company and our team. And it says person X knows what to implement, just imagine that requirement, So we let's say, we know the product had a meeting with that guy and discussed about specific functionality. But that person was off in that moment. And what was the challenge for us? So we need to have documentation updated properly, in order to track and see all dependencies between different modules. When we analyze specific requirements and have documentation, we will be able to detect dependency between all modules, and we'll be able, to know how to build specific feature. And that dependency is also one of the challenges that we have. You mentioned the teams, and people, and that is the people are the key to the success of any business. Okay, so with enterprise software, it's really hard to control that business knowledge that I mentioned, and how to educate people to see the full picture of entire system.
Why is that?
Yeah, because as I said, so we do have in enterprise software that we are building 10 years, let's say, we do have many rules, business rules, that even product team is not aware of it, So that is a problem, So since the product team is also facing with the same challenges as we, as engineer teams. So let's say if we have one requirement that is created 7 years ago, and now if we get the new requirement, I had situation from my experience that the requirement that I get now actually conflicted with the requirement that we had 7 years ago.
Okay, yeah. I understand. Yeah, because of the progress of the process.
Yes. So they are also not aware of everything, So when we have the new people that coming to our team, we need to explain them how the system is working, how to platform is working, and we need to analyze everything before they start with doing their job. So the onboarding the people is definitely one of the challenges, and we need to if we organize our teams properly, then we will not have problem with that. So as I already said, people are key to the success of any business. So we really need to be careful when we are organizing the teams.
When you said like you have a process of 7 years, and new people are coming and other people are going. What are the kind of review measures? When do you stop and go back to the original assignment and then revisit all the requirements and then update it and introduce people to the new kind of alternatives and new directions?
Yeah, that is a great question. So every time when we get the new feature from client, the first thing what we need to do is to analyze requirements, and that should be done by architect or team lead, since those, let's say, are most experienced team members, and they need to identify all possible scenarios that we could have with specific feature. After we do that, we need to talk with product team and developers as well to explain them how the system is working and what they need to implement, what they need to change. So we really need to have specific test cases and specific instructions what they need to change. And then it's on team lead. That role and team lead is key player there. He must be knowledgeable. He needs to understand platform, and or she, of course, need to be familiar with the business logic. Okay, and of course, he needs to know how to lead people, And every time when we have the new team member, we need to have that mentorship period. Okay.
Like incubation process.
Yes, exactly. And we need to explain them what is the process that we have, how we are building the platform, and we need to have the knowledge transfer sessions really often. So we need to build the team knowledge. And after we do that, then we will not have any problems, with onboarding new people, and we will not have any problems with delivering the items with high quality. So business knowledge, sharing knowledge, and trainings and mentorship period.
And then you have the client's deadlines that you're facing that you need to respect. How do you merge these two processes into one solid, effective, efficient process to deliver on time and to also have your team on board and to deliver actually one good enterprise software?
Yeah, with enterprise software, when we're talking about deadlines, it's really interesting topic, And when we are talking about it, we need to talk about process. We need to talk about team capacity. We need to talk about team velocity, and at the end about team commitment. As I already mentioned, the most important part is to do specific investigation analysis for each item that will be part of team delivery. Okay, so we need to check impact on the rest of system, and then based on that, team needs to confirm efforts and provide actual hours for each item that they need to finish. And again, it's important to know hours the team provided. Only those hours we can use for calculate delivery date and commitment to specific, deadline.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yes, it is. So that let's say when we are checking that progress and burn down chart, we can see do we have any blockers? Do we have any impediments? And those impediments are something that we are really struggling on a daily basis, especially when we are talking about enterprise system. Let's say during implementation, we faced with some vendor issue. Let's say the vendor issue, that's vendor that we are trying to integrate with. And when we have that situation, we need immediately to communicate that to the client, because any blocker or impediment that we have in implementation phase could impact delivery. And maybe one interesting thing, let's say when we're comparing the enterprise software with some small projects, usually said, when we have the deadline, we can onboard new people and hit the deadline. But that is the case maybe when we are working on small projects, when we have some startup, adding new people to the team could be a solution. But with enterprise software, that is not always the case, So maybe we can have one example, let's say we got new feature from the product team, and they said it's really critical from the business side, and they need to have it done in 3 weeks. And all work that is currently in progress should stop. So in that moment, we need to start from the beginning. So we need to do investigation that I mentioned already, create tasks and provide hours. And let's say after everything is done, based on hours that we have, we see that we cannot hit the deadline. So what to do? If you try to add more people, you will need to have someone, let's say like team lead, to explain them everything that we have in our system. That explain them, platform, that explain them the business logic. But remember, you have only 3 weeks. You cannot afford that. If you do that, you will lose the team lead's capacity. So from my perspective, we have two options here. The one option is to talk with client and try to reduce the scope. And another option is to ask for extra effort from the people that are already
in the team.
Yes. There is no third option. Maybe if you are talking about deadline, that is in 6 months in front of us. then you have a time, to educate new people, to maybe do some kind of education, knowledge transfer, etc. But if you have 3 weeks, then you don't have time, since there is the huge business base, the business knowledge and huge code base, and these two things are actually bottleneck in the enterprise, So when we're talking about, let's say, deadlines in enterprise, there is the bottom line. Let's say we can say the bottom line is to hit a deadline, we need to have all items analyzed by team members that understand the system well. That means platform and business. We need to have actual hours. We need to know team capacity, and we need to track progress on daily basis. And when with this approach, we should not struggle with deadlines. And again, the people are the key, especially when we're building the enterprise software.
And can you tell me, does the length of the process matches the size of the enterprise you're working for, or the process is pretty much the same and it takes the same amount of time and the same size of the team?
Yeah, the process should be the same, and it should not be related to project size at all. So in specific process, we need to define how we will handle the new items that we are getting, how teams should behave, how quality should be ensured by teams and architects, and how we will deliver the items, So we need to have some kind of quality checks by specific code reviews, etc. And that process should be defined before project start at all. So before we start with implementation, we need to define that process, and everyone should follow that. Not just engineering team, the product team as well. They need to be aware of that. We have a process, and if they want to have something, we need to follow that process together.
Well, this is really interesting in terms of also management. The process itself, it's not just engineering, but it's huge management task to accomplish.
Yes, it is. So that is let's say the main difference between enterprise software and some startup project. Let's say small project that we have. When you have the small project that you can finish in 2 or 3 months, then maybe there is no need to I'm not saying there's no need for process, but it's not important as process in enterprise software, With enterprise software, you have the one product that is alive 10 years and probably will be alive 10 or more years, So we need to know how to build each component and how to identify all those dependencies that we have. Because it's not just one service, it's about 50 services. It's not just about, we are not talking about one integration, we are talking about 50 integrations. So we need to know how to build these by following the process. And that should be our standard. And that is actually a reason why I said the enterprise software, it's not just a code, It's business logic, it's code and process as well.
And it's challenging like raising a kid.
Yes. Yeah,
You're going to do something and to your best knowledge, and maybe it will be outdated in a certain period of time, or it won't work, or you're going to revisit when you have to fix it and come back.
Yes.
So it's challenging. It's really challenging.
It's really challenging since it's a huge platform. So let's say with enterprise software, you need to actually engineering team, when you're talking about product and clients, they are always expecting to have the new features, new functionalities, and everything actually that will impact their product, But from engineering side, we need to think about platform and platform improvements. So we need to invest time in platform improvement, and as you said, do some refactoring, do some improvements, and that platform improvement is not optional and at all when you're talking about enterprise. It's mandatory. So architects and engineering team, we need to think about platform.
Great. It's really, thank you for sharing this, your like experience and knowledge with us. Would you like to add something more to this interesting subject?
I believe we talked about, let's say, the challenge that we have, and again, I just want to maybe highlight one thing that I said. So to build enterprise software, it's to have quality in the first place. We need to have we need to think about performance, we need to think about security, and we need to think about scalability. And on top of that, we need to control the business knowledge, business roles, and we need to lead. We need to lead the teams, the people, and we need to share knowledge so we can grow together, so we can together to build the platform, and we can, avoid to have, let's say, issues or defects that I mentioned for calculating the ticketing price.
You ended on a high note, totally. Alan, thank you so much for being with us. And it was a great pleasure to talking with you. Alan, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Authority Partners podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode.